podcast. I am Casey Coggins, joined by Alvin Hebert.
What up, y'all?
And I forgot to close the door.
No intruders, please.
Got to make sure we get full focus. It is fantasy draft time. You'll notice that I didn't say Andrew Lira's name. He is at home taking care of the new baby girl and drafting remotely because it is the Benchwarmers podcast draft, the second annual season of this thing. And right now, Andrew's on the clock, and we're going to just kind of go through the picks, just break it down at the end. Me and Alvin will discuss our favorite teams that aren't our own and just go over this crazy wide world of fantasy football as we're already on to pick 4. Saquon went 1. Alvin Kamara went 2. Pat Mahomes went 3. And DeAndre Hopkins went 4. So I don't know why Pat Mahomes went 3 there, but I understand the reasoning.
Yeah, I gotta let them know how our league is set up.
We are a 2 QB league, so making sure you have a quality quarterback is of utmost importance. But, is he going to necessarily be a better value there than Christian McCaffrey or some of the other guys? Only the season can really tell, because right now you only know like the projections of these players, and it's an interesting strategy, to say the least.
I don't know. Then DeAndre Hopkins went early too, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's everybody has their own strategy, and it's about who, like, can you stick to your strategy, and will that strategy work? Like, I think me and you are in an interesting position because you're drafting 8, I'm drafting 9 in the first round, and so we're going to miss on all the top loaded running backs.
Yeah.
We're going to miss on, we missed on Mahomes. We missed on one of the top receivers. So what are we, like, where does that put us? Like, what we have to really rely on our strategy coming into this.
Like, I was really hoping that Hopkins was going to be at the end for us, because I think when we go down and all these top tier running backs go, like, I think like the best value is one of the top tier wide receivers.
Yeah, it would definitely have been nice. Ooh, you went Devontae. Interesting.
Yes, sir.
Surprised you left me Michael Thomas.
I was thinking about that too. I was just in the preseason, he's been balling out too. Like,
that dude's a monster.
rushing wide receiver in a non-PPR league. Oh, you picked up Michael Thomas. I was like,
yeah.
What is he talking about? A rushing wide receiver.
Yeah, no, we both went wide receiver, and what he's saying is since it's not a PPR league.
Oh, jumping the gun on wide receivers.
Right. So because we're not going to get the points from the catches they get, but we're not going to get the points from the catches the running backs get either. So, like, they're his. I don't remember who he ended up taking.
Who, Drew?
Oh, he took Kamara. So, like, he's not going to get the receiving points. He's going to get the receiving yards and touchdowns and stuff. Whew. Now, this is going to be an interesting one. Do I want to go back-to-back receivers? Do I want to get a running back?
Like, when you're at the end of the tail end of the draft, like, you get stuck in a predicament because then you're like, you're not going to be able to pick for, like, another 20-something odd picks.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You're going to miss out on some people.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and shore up my receiver position.
You went Odell?
Yeah, I really thought about going Julio Jones. I think Julio Jones is going to have a monster year. But the potential is just too great with Odell. I think, with that offense supposed to be it's supposed to be lights out. He's in the best offense of his career. And I think he's going to be damn good. I also was leaning going Juju too, because he's taking over Antonio Brown's role in that offense. And with Juju in that offense, they led the league in passing last year. They threw the ball the most times. They had the most yards. But they also skewed it because they didn't have Le'Veon. And with no Le'Veon and using James Conner, they didn't run the ball as much. They focused pass heavy. But the reason I ended up going receiver is because I do think after the top four, and we talked about this in the Fantasy Focus that we did a couple weeks ago, after those top four, I think a lot of the running backs are really just like crapshoots.
Yeah, it's like really up in the air after the
top
four are gone.
Yeah,
like Dalvin Cook too. Like,
the running backs that are left right now are Nick Chubb, Kerryon Johnson, Leonard Fournette, Devontae Freeman, Melvin Gordon, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, all number ones on their team, but all have they have doubts, they have question marks. We're really I'm really curious, but I also know that I had a guy who I had my eye on at running back that I'm going to be very happy taking.
And the homeboy with the homer pick for Carson Wentz. So he picked up Pat Mahomes and Carson Wentz. And now Travis Kelce is off the board.
Yeah, see, Travis Kelce I think was a good value pick too. But we'll see any regression from the Chiefs offense. It's an interesting thing with the tight ends this year because I was listening to the Dynasty football podcast on the Ringer, and they were talking about the top 3 tight ends last year combined for like the next 20 they had like 40% of the next 20 tight ends. It was just a nuts, like the top 3 just had the most ridiculous year for tight ends outside of like Rob Gronkowski that one year where he broke the record for touchdowns in a season. So looking at it, did he really pick up 3 QBs in his first 3 picks?
He just picked up Baker Mayfield.
I have my guys, my eyes set on a few guys at running back that haven't been taken yet. I'm going to stick to my rule of not taking any Detroit Lions, so Kerryon Johnson is not
going to be your guy?
Not going to be my guy.
But he's, I don't know.
Every year I draft a Lion, it just, I feel like they get hurt, and I'd rather not do that. So Um,
I mean, then somebody just picked up Nick Chubb too. Like I'm like, that's a good
that
pick.
yeah, the reason that's one of the reasons why I picked up Odell is that Cleveland offense is just so loaded that are you going to be able to key in on Odell? Like, is he going to see more one-on-one coverages because they have Njoku and Chubb and Jarvis Landry and the rest of that offense? Me and you are taking the most time at making these picks. Maybe it's because we're trying to do a podcast at the same time.
Trying to do a podcast at the same time.
But yeah, so Casey picked Mike Evans there. I think that was a great value pick in the third round. David Montgomery.
I went with David Montgomery, sir.
All right.
I have to go for value because we're at the tail end of the draft.
Tail end of the draft.
Like in draft order.
Right. By the way, Leonard Fournette's going to have a monster year if he's healthy. So,
if he's healthy, is his mind right? Also, or he's going to be crying that he wants to leave?
He's not playing with Blake Bortles anymore. He has Nick Foles at quarterback now. You don't think that's going to open up some holes?
I think that will for sure open up holes for him. Now I'm wondering if I should go receiver now or another running back, depending on who you pick. Oh, okay.
I almost went with Josh Jacobs, who I picked as my like best rookie. I think he's one of those lead backs who should get plenty of work in that offense, but I think George Kittle, his usage is just going to be too much to like. Why pass up George Kittle there and try to go with like an Evan Ingram later?
Yeah,
I'd rather I know for sure that Kittle's going to produce, and getting him in the fourth round, I feel pretty comfortable with. Because, again, I don't know how many people are going to be looking at running backs.
I don't think our league.
You misspelled Rodgers' name.
I don't care about Rodgers.
What were you about to say though?
I think because we made it a 2 QB league, I think a lot of people are valuing quarterbacks a lot, and so like it's giving us a lot of value on our picks at the end.
Yeah,
so it's working out good for me. Let them do this.
One of the things that I was listening to, again, the Fantasy Football podcast, because I've been listening to a shit ton of fantasy football. I've been watching the fantasy show with Matthew Berry and all of that stuff, just taking in as much information as possible, because I also really like hearing these people's opinion on players and schemes and strategy. And the one I was listening to this morning, they were talking about auction drafts, and I think I'm going to shift it to an auction draft next year.
An auction draft?
Yeah, because I think that they made a great point, which is why I'm leaning that way. The point they made was, you see with auction drafts, you can see a lot different of lineups schemes, because you're not just, picking number 1, taking the top player, picking number 9, taking the 9th best player. You have to base who you're getting off of how much money you're willing to spend on that player. So you might be able to get a certain lineup that you wouldn't get otherwise in a snake draft, especially when you have auto draft people who are just going to take the top person.
Yeah, that's working in our favor right now.
back-to-back Rams receivers. Let's see.
That Rams offense is going to be lights out. Like, I don't even know who's going to be their number one receiver.
Got a lot of running backs that just went too.
Let's see, there goes Robert Woods.
Yeah, that was just the auto draft taking the top person. So now, I have my 2 starting receivers, 2 starting running backs, my starting tight end. I got my flex position to figure out. Now, who do I want to go there? What a predicament I find myself in. You know, I'm gonna do something a little more fun with this, because I'm gonna just get the New England backfield.
Sony. Oh, I was about to say Sony. Oh yeah, Sony Michel did leave.
No, I have Sonny Michel and James White.
Oh,
and so,
you picked Sony
Michel. And so one, I can start it just like that, to where, you know, I get the passing back, I get the running back, but I can also, like, Michel got banged up last year. He missed a few games. So I also have his handcuff. I don't think that they're going to be a high-flying offense. I think they're going back to a smash-mouth football like they did last year. The reason they won the Super Bowl wasn't because Tom Brady was Tom Brady and he was a great quarterback. They won the Super Bowl because they had Sonny Michel had like 180 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Chargers, and he had like 170 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Chiefs. They just ran all over these teams, which that also allows, towards the end of the game, Tom Brady to look better because they're trying to stack the line so you don't run on them, and defensive players are tired.
Duke Johnson. Oh, because Lamar Miller went down.
Yeah.
That is nice.
It's almost like you just said that out loud. So, do you have a necessary strategy to your fantasy draft?
Mine, basically, I'm looking for value, because now that I know that we're like at the end of the draft order, I'm just picking straight value on what I see on the board. I mean, I prioritized running backs at first, but now that I got my 3, like, now I could just strictly focus on value. And
Right. Yeah, and it's a little tricky, because especially like right now where we're at, we're looking at, like, Josh Gordon's there right now. AJ Green is hurt, but you know, when he comes back, he's the only thing that offense really has other than Joe Mixon. If Tyler Eifert can stay healthy, which we haven't really seen. But then you have a few running backs. Kenyon Drake is still fighting for the job with Kalen Ballage.
yeah,
Phillip Lindsay had a great rookie season, but
he's fighting for his job too.
yeah, is he going to be able to repeat that? Darius Geis missed his rookie season to an injury, and he's not a necessary lead back. He's not going, like, he might not get all of the reps there.
Especially with the year that Adrian Peterson had last year.
Yeah.
Like,
so, like, right now it looks like really the best picks here. You're looking at the O.J. Howards, Hunter Henrys, and then, like, Jarvis Landry is right there.
oh, see, yep, there goes Josh Gordon.
Yeah, so, like, Will Fuller is another guy. If he's healthy, like, sky's the limit.
Yeah.
we're in the if this guy's healthy, it's a good pick version of the draft. What's the pick that surprised you the most so far?
Besides the 3 quarterbacks back to back to back, I think somebody picked up Dalvin Cook early,
Yeah,
and he hasn't had one full healthy season.
I think this is his like
This is his third season.
third year.
And he's only had a handful of
So
100 yards
you
rushing.
see, there goes Evan Ingram and OJ Howard.
That leaves me. I got to pick him then.
Oh man, what is my plan right now? I'm just not sure what I want to do here. Since I have my 2 starters, I'm gonna go ahead and take a flyer on that guy right there.
I was hoping that you was going to pass up on him, so I was going to take the flyer on him. Because I too have my like wide receivers set as well.
Still a lot of quarterbacks on the board, other than I don't want to miss on these guys now. Going with it. Getting a rookie.
Kyler Murray.
Ugh. Going rookie. I was leaning towards Cam, and I talked about him being my sleeper, because he was ranked so low, and he had his surgery and all of that. But as far as fantasy value, I think Kyler Murray is going to be throwing the ball a lot. I think he might have he has a chance. I think his upside is a lot higher than Cam Newton's this year, because Cam Newton's also going to be handing off to Christian McCaffrey a lot.
Dak Prescott off the board. Dang.
That's Robert right there. But yeah, I just, I kind of got into a pickle where I was looking at, it was on my roundabout. I was going to have to wait 16 picks between guys. I needed to go ahead and start getting quarterbacks. And I just didn't want a chance at missing out on him. I picked Roethlisberger in the past, and that hasn't always worked out. I'm leaning away from guys who have burned me in the past. That's a pretty good value pick right there with Darius Geis. So we're halfway through. So you said the Dalvin Cook was kind of the surprise pick.
I just think he was taken a little bit too high.
Yeah,
based on his history.
Right now, do you have a favorite pick that you've made?
That I've made?
Yeah, like whether it be just You got a guy who you think is going to be absolutely insane this year, or he's going to be good and he should have gone higher and you got him at the value you would like.
I I really like my Joe Mixon pick because I got him as my second round pick, and I've seen mock drafts and like all these like pro like mock drafts being like streamed on YouTube or whatnot, and they value him pretty highly. They pick him like in the first round at certain times.
Yeah. Yeah, Joe Mixon is it's just the Bengals are possibly going to be so bad this year.
And also with AJ Green going down too, I feel like they're just going to be looking to run the ball more. And
Yeah.
even with them being bad, he still had a good season last year.
Yeah, he did. I'm pretty sure I had him on my team, on one of my teams, not sure which one. All this kind of goes into a blur. So, you're on the clock. I'm looking at I only have one quarterback. I have 3 running backs, 3 receivers. No defense has been picked. No kicker's been picked, so that's good at least.
I was waiting for the Drew special. How that one year he picked the Seattle Seahawks like
Yeah.
4th or 5th round.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I'm really conflicted here.
I think now I'm going to start looking at a quarterback.
Yeah, I think the reason I'm conflicted is I'm thinking of going one of the Cardinals receivers.
I was looking at Kirk, to be
And
honest.
like Kirk is more explosive and they might use him in different ways. But Larry Fitzgerald is so fucking solid.
Always solid. Doesn't matter what quarterback he has.
I'm going to go with Kirk. Because one, that pairs up him with Kyler Murray. He's more explosive, like I just kind of said, that he can be used in deep post patterns, bubble screens. Remember, Cliff Kingsbury, do not run a fucking bubble screen to Larry Fitzgerald. So it's I think that was the better pick to go with for me
Over Fitzgerald.
over Fitzgerald. Future Hall of Famer, Larry Fitzgerald.
Somebody picked Derek Carr.
Yeah, somebody picked Derek
Oh,
Carr.
Homer pick right there. That's my homeboy from California. Thank you. I'm glad you went him because I thought you was going to pick this guy.
Yeah, I thought about it, but they're super run heavy, and he's not running as much. So I just kind of went with who's going to have a better offense, and I think the Rams are going to have a better offense.
Oh yeah,
So-
most definitely. Yeah,
so-
he'll have a better offense, but just the value of him that he could still like.
You know what's
run the
crazy
ball.
that I just realized is that they some years in previous years they didn't update their fantasy thing quick enough, so they had like retired players on it or free agents and stuff that you could pick
When was this?
years ago.
No, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. And Andrew Luck is nowhere to be found on this.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and take Daniel Jones with the 6th overall pick because, that's what we do in the NFL.
Daniel Jones. So that means I could pick Eli Manning.
So to kind of talk football analysis, what what do you think about Mitchell Trubisky this year? Do you think he has another step in under the Nagy offense? Do you think he's gonna still like? Where do you see that offense going? Because their defense was so damn good last year.
That defense carried them last year.
That like it's hard to like if he takes a next step, how good could they be?
Oh, if he takes the next step, with even with Allen Robinson as his number one receiver, they'll be lights out.
Well, they have Alshon? No, he's in Philly.
No, he's
still.
in Philly. Yeah,
That's right.
I don't know. And then Nagy, again, he's a QB friendly.
Anthony Miller, that's the other guy.
But I just don't see it in him. I just think he's solid. Like he time management, Alex Smith style.
Yeah,
that's what I see.
Yeah, that's what I see too. But yeah, he's quite an interesting quarterback study. Like like you said, if he takes the next step, like sky's the limit with that team. But this is his third year in the league, and he's only started like 30 games in his career.
Yeah.
Well, I guess he's played less than 50 games because he only had the 13 in college. Like
that too, yeah.
Like he doesn't have a whole lot of experience even with college stuff. So it's just I think there's room to grow there, but it's the will he grow. So now we're getting into the weeds. Round 11 of 17. Jameis Winston just got taken. I need a running back. And we're looking at a bunch of kind of backup type players. Like guys go down, maybe they just have a good year.
Or if they're on like a timeshare and one just has a ball out, couple hot games.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and go Latavius Murray. They've talked about how they want to use him the same way that they use Mark Ingram. He is a backup, so I don't necessarily need him to be like week in, week out, just absolutely insane good. And now somebody already took a defense?
Yeah, they picked the Bears defense.
Oh, last round. Or 2 rounds ago. What defense am I going to go with here? Who is in a bad offensive division? I'm not really sold on that, but I spent too much time looking for who took the Bears defense and not enough time thinking about what defense I should take, because I went Jags, obviously super talented defense, but I was really trying to just kind of key in who's in a division that has a bunch of bad offenses. So with the Jags, you have Colts with retired Andrew Luck, the Texans, who can be extremely good, and Tennessee, who the fuck knows. So I think that they're in a good division for them to like show how strong their defense is. You also have the Bills, who the Patriots, they have a solid offense, but that I don't think that it's nearly as good as it used to be, even though I took their 2 running backs. The Jets, who the fuck knows how good Sam Darnold actually is going to be. And then Miami, they're going to be starting either Josh Rosen or Ryan Fitzpatrick, and like they can have a decent offense. They have Albert Wilson coming back, and they have some decent good pieces on the outside. So the
And
Bills, I
break
think,
the leg off the board.
I mean, why not? Why not kickers? So, do you think the Bears are going to repeat the same kind of the defensive performance that they had last year?
I mean, it's hard. It's hard to not to think that Khalil Mack like literally changed that division by himself.
There's still quite a few decent tight ends to take too.
Yeah, I was looking at a couple or some valued receivers.
That was really the one lion that I thought about taking. Thought about taking Hawkinson. He's been showing out in training camp, and thanks for doing that for me.
You are
I
so
appreciate
welcome.
I appreciate you doing that, because I was gonna be conflicted.
Honestly, I was looking at him or one of these other Green Bay Packer receivers,
Oh yeah, the Marquez Valdez Scantling and
Geronimo Allison.
Geronimo. I mean, I think James Washington would have been a good value pick too.
I think even Kiki, because with Will Fuller not always 100% healthy.
Right.
Like he always has his chances to step in and have a couple hot games.
You know what? Just because I think that he has the potential, I think Trey Burton there as a backup tight end is solid. I thought I might get a third in another round. No, might as well get. Who should I take here? Has Case Keenum been officially announced as the starter in Washington?
Yeah, I think that was just today. Garoppolo.
I figured I'm not going to start him most weeks. I have George Kittle, so I get to have the pairing when I do start him. I'm not really investing too much into his terrible preseason training camp. He's really still getting used to this offense, and used to a few things. I think having him as my third quarterback, the upside's quite great. And I also don't think he's in a division that has a whole lot of defense. Seattle's not the same defense. They're not going to be the same team.
Rams weren't that hype defense that everybody thought they were going to be.
And the Rams lost guys.
Yeah.
And then the Cardinals are a dumpster fire. So, like, I just realized I have 3 of the 4 quarterbacks in that division. Like, I'm banking on the NFC West.
You're just like banking on probably on the worst division in the league.
The worst division, the worst defensive division. They're going to be solid offensively.
They got all the great offensive talent, but defense are trash. So just hoping all those offensive points just rack up when they play each other.
Oh, we have more kickers are going off the board. Harrison Butker, Will Lutz, Steven
Gostkowski.
Gostkowski.
Patriots defense.
Patriots defense. Yeesh. I mean, they were 7th in the league in scoring defense last year. They just gave up a shit ton of yards. The immortal Adam Vinatieri still kicking away. The interesting thing about taking a kicker is that, one, you have to say, okay, who's going to score a bunch of touchdowns? And two, you have to say who's going to move the ball a lot and not score a bunch of touchdowns. You know who did that last year? The Lions. They moved the ball, didn't score a lot of touchdowns. Matt Prater was a very good fantasy kicker.
Yeah, those teams that suck in the red zone, like the Cowboys, but they had a sorry ass kicker, so you gotta just.
They had a pretty good kicker. Brett Mayer, he had
Man,
a really good year.
that guy, he'll have one good game, and then another game he just like shanks one. Like
He was 28 of 32 last year. He missed two between 40 and 49 and 2 over 50. He was perfect from 1 to 39. And he was 30 for 30 on extra point. Oh, that was Prater. Why didn't it go to Mayer? The Chargers are cursed with kickers, so you can't really trust anything there. I'm going to go with Giorgio Telvecchio. There you go. I didn't pick a lion, guys. I did not pick a lion. More Homer picks. Is this your cousin, Smith?
No, that's
Alright.
my homeboy.
Oh, he's just a
He's
Bay Area guy? Or a
yeah,
Raider guy?
he's a Raider Nation guy, unfortunately.
Oh, I didn't even realize that I was back on the clock. I need to be paying attention. Do you take any investment into the Kenny Stills drama?
I don't know, because there's talks that he's on the trading block, so I'm like,
Oh, man. If he's on the trading block, I think that can only be good for him.
just because their whole offensive situation and they're just like banking on Saquon Barkley, I'm gonna go with this kicker.
Good thinking. That's a good strategy. All right, coming down to the final round. We're midway through round 16 of 17. I feel like I made a mistake with my James White pick.
It's okay to it takes a strong person to admit when they're wrong.
I'll always admit when I'm wrong. If there's proof that I'm wrong, I will definitely admit that I'm wrong. I'll also tell you when I feel like I'm wrong, because if I am wrong, then I can say, yeah, I thought so. It's hedging my bets. I thought about taking DK Metcalf there, because last pick of the draft. Like, why the hell not take a flyer? Because he's one of those guys where like, by week 4, you're going to realize how they're using that offense, how they're running everything. None of them are making their last pick.
They're on their last pick and they don't know who to pick because they already picked all their defense and kickers.
Yeah, now like it is picking the 5th wide receiver, but like
Mean Machine, that's Robert, right?
yeah.
What's him in these Dallas Cowboys picks?
I don't know. Maybe he's trying to jinx them or something.
Is that what he's going for?
He's a Charger fan. I thought about picking Josh Allen. You know, he was the best fantasy quarterback from weeks 12 to 16 last year. Some shit like that.
That shit was insane
Because of his
Bills is
rushing
heart garbage.
his rushing numbers were so insane.
Ooh, Eric Ebron, so this late, that is good.
Who the fuck knows with that offense? I mean, I like Jacoby Brissett, but
I took a flyer on Jacoby Brissett.
oh, did you pick him up?
Yeah. Oh, there goes your guy, Matt Prater.
Matt Prater, longest field goal in NFL history. Ooh, good call with the Ravens. I didn't think about them.
Everybody was like jumping the gun on everybody else, like the Rams and all that.
So, do I want to go DK? Or I'm thinking of going Irv Smith if he should still be there.
I think
The
DK.
tight end.
I think DK is the more value pick. I don't know about Irv Smith.
He's the backup to Kyle Rudolph that is supposed to be super good, and Kyle Rudolph has injury history. So maybe I'll just I'm gonna take DK, and I'll keep an eye on Kyle Rudolph. So that wraps up the draft. So now that the draft is over, as I said earlier, we're going to discuss who we think had the best draft, who we think has the best team, and we can't pick ourselves. So, but really off the bat, I want to just get our perspectives on our own teams, because I like I just said while we were still drafting, I'm not sold on the James White pick, keeping with having Sony Michel, because one of the reasons is, say one of them has a much better game than the other, that means that I have a guy on my bench that I could have played instead. But having both of them, if I do start them both, it almost guarantees it gives me an entire backfield worth of production.
Right.
So that's kind of why I did it, but there's a gut feeling in me that says that was a mistake to do. I'm super happy having Odell and Michael Thomas. Super happy about that. Having them with George Kittle, if George Kittle drops a tenth of what he did last year, I think he's still going to be a top 5 tight end. That's how impressive him and Zach Ertz were. And then I like my later round picks because they are more flyers. They're guys that I might not start in weeks 1, 2, or 3, but I let the first few weeks play out, and I figure out, okay, so how's Christian Kirk being used? How's Latavius Murray being used? How's did Kalen Ballage take over? How's DK? I get to know those things going into the season, which I like. And as I said, I pretty much am banking on the NFC West having a terrible division defensively.
Yeah.
Because that's my entire quarterback roster. So I feel solid. I'm not super sold on my team. I would have liked to maybe land a more I don't know. I'm just there's something that I'm hesitating about with the of my team. I feel like I did solid, but I don't. I just it's interesting to figure that out. So break your team down for us, my good sir.
Uh, to be honest, I just feel like my team is just solid value wise. Like you got Michael Thomas, Odell Beckham. I went Devontae Adams, Joe Mixon, then David Montgomery. Like if you look at that, you're probably like, I'm not scared of this team, but I'm banking on their production will be on par on what they did last year or exceed what they did last year. Because again, AJ Green's out, so Joe Mixon, even though the team was trash last year, he still had a good year. So I feel like they're going to be focused run heavy early at the start of the season.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
I'm digging your Aaron Jones pick too.
and I got him as my third running back.
Right. Yeah, he's definitely somebody you throw in the flex because like your top six, the only one that like your fifth and sixth round, Chris Godwin and Calvin Ridley, both of those guys can be league winner type guys. But both of those guys could also just be average, where they might be like ninth, 10th round value.
Yeah, those I feel like those could be like feast or famine. Like one week they have like a killer game, and then next week they probably just have like a dud ass game, and it will hurt me that week because I'll be like, oh yeah, they shown out one game, and then I trust them the next game, and they could just have like a 26-yard game or something like that. But I just like my bench depth also. Like I picked up Daryl Henderson, handcuffing Todd Gurley because everybody feels like Todd Gurley's gonna, I don't know, like have not fall off per se.
So yeah, so what I've heard from NFL analysts about the Todd Gurley thing is, let's say Todd Gurley gets hurt and starts missing games, Daryl Henderson's role in the offense isn't going to change.
Yeah,
He's their change of pace back. He's their passing down back kind of guy. Malcolm Brown is still there, and he's still their number two running back as far as like who's going to take over the starting job, because he was on his way to having a super solid backup year last year until he got hurt.
and then Anderson came in and took over.
Right, and now he's gone. But like Malcolm Brown, they still are really high on. They really like. But Daryl Henderson has also had the chance to be a special kind of change of pace guy.
Yeah, I just feel like my team's just like full of like guys with potential to blow up. Like James Washington, potential to blow up now that Antonio Brown is gone. Miles Sanders, he's going to be. I mean, they already said he's going to be the lead back for Philly,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
for
that
me
was a
to
good
pick
pick.
him up in the later rounds too. So it's just like a lot of potential. I just like hope they actually bust out this year and not flop.
Yeah, so I'm if you go to ESPN, if you go to like the league, you can go to draft recap. I don't know if you've gotten there yet. It's under the league tab, under history, draft recap. Find it up in that top bar. If you go to draft recap, you can go to by team, and it'll show you who picked who in what round. And that's what I have pulled up so that we can discuss who we think did the best. So since I've already been going over this, I'll go ahead and discuss the team that I think did the best. I do want to shout out Andrew's team. I think his first two picks are absolutely solid picks. He took Josh Jacobs, who I've already talked about plenty of times. He only has two quarterbacks. He only has Ben Roethlisberger and Tom Brady. So for whatever reason, he has two kickers. I don't know if that was on purpose.
He does have two good picks.
Yeah, he has Greg Zerline and Brett Mayer. So maybe he got distracted or something. But so it's like you have two kickers, you're eliminated from this discussion. The whoever Colorado Eskimo Brothers is, they got Christian McCaffrey at number 5, which is a steal at number 5.
Yeah, that is just nuts.
And taking James Conner number 2, like if he stays healthy, he's their lead back. They know what he can do, and he had a very productive year last year. Adam Thielen was on pace to break a shit ton of receiving records, and then that offense changed quickly. Aaron Rodgers should have a resurgent year. He then ended up getting Cam Newton, who's my sleeper pick with the 9th round, and his backup quarterback is Phillip Rivers.
I just love that Duke Johnson pick in the 6th round.
Yeah, that was a good pick. So, like, for me, with value and who he picked up, like, I think I put him as doing the best job. Because, you know, Vance McDonald in the 10th round as your starting tight end is a solid, like, pickup. It's a solid value. He's going to have a monster year with losing Jesse James, who's now with Detroit. He also has Jimmy Graham to back him up. Maybe Aaron Rodgers starts using a tight end in the new offense. Jarvis Landry, like that, we've talked about the Browns offense enough. Best kicker in football with Justin Tucker. And then his last 3 picks, Geronimo as a backup receiver, Golden Tate as a backup receiver, are, you know, you're not going to bank on winning a week with those 2 guys. Those are like bye-week starters. He has his receivers with Jarvis Landry and Adam Thielen, so they might not. Thielen is closer to the top tier receivers, but like if you look at his top 2 receivers and my top 2 receivers blow his out of the water. But if you look at my starting running backs and his starting running backs, I think he gets the edge there too.
Yeah, definitely.
And then when it comes to like flex, the Duke Johnson pick is going to be a great flex play. And then he had his last pick was the Texans defense, which super solid defense and a decently bad offensive division. So, I think he has my favorite draft of the bunch because I think one, he hit a home run with Christian McCaffrey. I had him last year, and that dude
No.
in my other league and took me to the number 2 ranking, and then my team in the semifinals had their least productive least productive week as far as points go of the entire season, because of course that's how it works in fantasy football. Who in your eyes do you think, is there another team? Because you look at,
I'm looking at Mean Machine right now. Although I feel like jumped the gun on DeAndre Hopkins, I still think a top flight receiver.
I think he jumped the gun on a few picks,
Yeah,
but yet when you look at the roster, you really see that,
he has a solid roster.
yeah,
Because even he went Dalvin Cook 2nd round and was still able to get Nick Chubb 3rd round.
right.
Even though I don't like the Dalvin Cook pick.
And then he has Zach Ertz, who's one of the top 3 tight ends.
Yes.
It's Ertz, Kittle, and Kelsey in some order. And then his quarterbacks are Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, and Dak Prescott. So he obviously is thinking, who's a running quarterback? Where can I get the points as far as rushing goes? At least I hope that's a thought.
I really like his receiving core too. Hopkins, Mike Williams, what was it? Allen Robinson,
and then Michael Gallup and Dante Pettis. Um, the thing is, and like Greg Olson, again, another one of those guys. He's your backup. You take him late.
You don't
He,
got to worry about him being injured and like
if he is healthy,
yeah.
then good. You throw him in. If he's not, then cool. He's just there. You're going to be playing Ertz every week, other than his bye week. The Broncos defense, like Bradley Chubb is in his second year now with Von Miller. Like they could have a resurgent year. I think the thing with the Broncos is that they're in the division with the Raiders, who we really have no idea how good that team is going to be. A lot of people think they're going to be terrible, but they have a lot of offensive talent. Like,
oh wait, I gotta X him out. He has 2 kickers also.
yeah, so he loses.
I was just about to say because he picked up Tony Pollard, which I feel if Zeke's holdout goes
a game.
Yeah,
like you throw him in immediately
exactly.
as your flex. Like that's a no-brainer. Well, like
he had Gostkowski, then he picked Matt Prater last. Oh man.
Whatever, to each their own.
Yeah.
But to finish the Broncos thing too. So the Chargers have had a really good offense for a long time.
Yeah.
The Raiders, they could have a good offense. They could also be the dumpster fire that they've been. Why can't I think of? Oh, and the Chiefs, best offense in football, pretty much. Like it's them and the Rams, and like. So the Broncos are in a tricky spot where they're going to be playing 6 games against 3 like above average offenses. Like and again, the Oakland Raiders, it's a crapshoot. They could be a top 5 offense in the league. They could be a bottom 5 offense in the league. We really don't know anything about that team other than we can make jokes about them. That's about as much as we know about the Raiders. They are fun to make fun of. So then there's Casey, who's Carry On My Wayward Son. She went Zeke number 1. Again, if he doesn't hold out, getting him at 6, like
that's just a value pick. Like to
yeah,
put him at 6.
Yeah, if he's been the most used running back the last 2 years, his numbers are absolutely ridiculous. If he gets his deal, if the holdout doesn't go longer, then she's fine. If he does hold out and he does have issues, Mark Ingram's going to be a solid running back. Tariq Cohen is going to be an interesting, because we have to see how the Bears run it with David Montgomery. But I would assume they're going to use him just like they have in the past, and that's a solid fantasy running back. Royce Freeman is battling with Philip Lindsay for the starting job in Denver. Naheem Hines is sharing a backfield with Marlon Mack. So the running back thing for her, it can get tricky if Zeke ends up holding out. But then to have Tyreek Hill, who it seems like there's no suspension on the horizon for him. It seems like the investigation.
Yeah, I think they're dropping that. Yeah,
and all of that passed. Mike Evans could be the best receiver in football fantasy wise this year. In a Bruce Arians offense, Julian Edelman is the number 1 guy in New England. Alshon Jeffrey is the number 1 guy in Philly. Evan Ingram's a top tier tight end. He's in the 4 to 10 tight end range. D.D. Westbrook, I think, was a solid value.
Yeah, that D.D. Westbrook got sniped on me. I was looking to get him that round.
What I do realize is that she has 2 kickers as well. I don't know what's going on here. And she only has 2 quarterbacks.
Oh man.
Her quarterbacks are Trubisky and Marcus Mariota. So it it would not surprise me to see um her go, like a couple of these people go in to the free agents to the waiver wire and immediately start making moves, especially for her. Seeing she's gonna see her quarterbacks, I think, and see that she has two kickers, and like she's gonna go and pick up Nick Foles. I'm really curious to see where like
Man, I'm really liking
how
Team Smith's like first half of the round of the draft.
like how's Joe Flacco going to do in Denver? Is he going to have a rejuvenated year? How soon before he gets benched for Drew Lock? Is Ryan Fitzpatrick going to hold off Josh Rosen? Is Eli Manning going to hold off Daniel Jones?
That fits magic.
Is Case Keenum going to hold off Dwayne Haskins? Like there are quarterbacks that are on this on the list of free agents that like
Could
potentially be great pickups in the middle of the year. And then if guys go down, you have their backups. Like I think Will Greer is Cam Newton's backup, and I think he's a solid quarterback. I really liked him at West Virginia. It's just so interesting to see how the draft all played out and the teams we ended up with, because I don't think that there's one single team that nailed their draft like 1 through 17. And I don't even know if there's a single team that nailed their draft like 1 through 10.
I don't know. Team Smith's like first half of the draft, I feel that is a super strong draft.
So his first 4, I'll give him that.
Yeah, but then he started making some homer picks.
also those top 3 guys have known to miss games due to injury. So Robert Woods, the reason I'm not sold on that is because he's in a spread it out offense. So Cooper Kupp, Brandon Cooks, Gerald Everett, Todd Gurley, Malcolm Brown, Darrell Henderson, like they have a lot of guys to move, like share the ball with. So you have him as your number 2 receiver, but I think he's like drafting Willie Snead a couple years ago with the Saints. Where it's like, yeah, Willie Snead's good, but he's going to have a week where he gets 14 and he's going to have a week where he gets 1. Because that's just the way that Drew Brees is, and that's the way the Saints offense works, is not a single guy gets like all of the targets, except now Michael Thomas gets all of them. But that's the same thing with like Patriots receivers. Like Gronk got all of his targets. You could rely on Gronk to get his. But, Danny Amendola's and Wes Welker's and Julian Edelman's, they're solid PPR guys, but they're not great standard people, and we play standard. So like I don't know about Robert Woods. I want to say Kenny Galladay is going to have an amazing year. He also has Marvin Jones Jr. and Matt Stafford. So he has the 2 top receivers and the quarterback for the Lions.
I think he just like covered his bases real well.
God, I wish that he wins the league just based off of that alone. But I don't know.
I mean, because I don't like the Derek Carr pick, but him as your second quarterback, like, all right, fine, you got Drew Brees.
So, Drew Brees is an all-timer. I think he's going to have a solid year. I mean, I picked Michael Thomas, so he has to have at least a good enough year to get Michael Thomas's numbers. But he faded towards the end of the year last year, and he's faded towards the end of the year the last like 5 years. So like with him, you definitely need to have a solid 2 and 3 for the later, like for outside games, like for situational. Like I don't think he's this year. I don't think he's a plug and play every single week other than his bye week quarterback. I mean, I love Matt Stafford to death, and I think the change of offensive coordinator should be super good for him, especially since he's going to it's Darrell Bevel, who's been with the Seahawks, and like you saw what he was able to do with Russell Wilson and like the crap running backs like by committee that they I mean, the running backs weren't crap. They were just cycled through, and it wasn't like a consistent running back all the time.
Until Chris Carson finally
stopped being hurt.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he had a solid draft. I think there's definitely a potential for his team. But I still think that the Colorado one, Colorado Eskimo brothers, I think had top to bottom the most solid draft as far as value goes, covering their bases. Like his starting quarterbacks are Aaron Rodgers and Cam Newton, and his backups Phillip Rivers.
I'll definitely go Colorado Eskimo brothers. I'm kind of like flipping back and forth from Team Smith and which one was Casey's team?
Carry On My Wayward Son.
Yeah, Carry On My Wayward Son. I think those are like my top 3 right there.
Yeah, I mean, 4th and Goal had a solid draft too, but
draft though.
I think with that one is like there's a lot of ifs, like if Todd Gurley, if Melvin Gordon, if T.Y. Hilton,
Tevin Coleman,
like if Will Fuller. So there's definitely a lot of ifs going on with
if they stay healthy, like his team will like pretty much
if Melvin Gordon doesn't
everybody.
hold out, if Todd Gurley stays healthy, then like
that's the point of auto draft, you know what I mean? Like you take what you get.
So we're in a little over an hour in. I think we've covered our bases. As far as, going through the draft, discussing things throughout, going over the teams after, just, bullshitting for the hour that we typically do. This has been another episode of the Benchwarmers podcast, the Fantasy Football Edition. I am Casey Coggins, joined by Alvin Hebert.
Looking to kick some ass and taking names.
Andrew Lira will be back hopefully next week, if not the week after that. Yeah, actually, scratch that. Next week's episode might be postponed a week because I'm going to be watching Clayton Kershaw Friday night, hopefully. He's the pitching probable, and I'll be out of town. So
your paternity leave is extended for another week, sir.
Okay, we'll record whenever we're all in the same town and not working. So until then, I'll take over for Andrew, saying go subscribe, listen, rate, review, comment, like let us know if you listen and there's anything you want us to say, like talk about anything you like, dislike, whatever. Just give us a listen and go subscribe.
Let us know.
And we'll catch y'all next time we record.
We'll take